I screamed so hard my throat tore open. I knocked the lamp off my nightstand and sank to the floor with the test result still in my hand. My entire body trembled as if it had just been told it did not belong in this world. I remember clawing at my skin, whispering, "This cannot be real. This cannot be real," over and over. The taste of bile sat on my tongue, and my heartbeat pounded like a war drum. James rushed into the room, barefoot, panicked. He knelt beside me, grabbed my face, and begged me to say something. But how could I? How could I tell my husband, the man I had married just 8 months earlier, that we were siblings? Before I continue, I want to say a massive thank you to all our subscribers. If you are new or have been watching but have not yet subscribed, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. It is what fuels this channel and keeps us going. And do not forget to share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. My name is Josephine, and I am 32 years old. I live in Rhode Island. I met James when I was 22, a nervous junior trying to survive college. He was magnetic, confident, funny, and ridiculously smart. He was 24 and studying architecture. We met in the library, both reaching for the same copy of a book we never ended up reading. What followed was the kind of romance you only see in movies. Late-night study sessions that turned into wine-soaked conversations. Weekend road trips to nowhere. And kisses that made my knees buckle. We dated for 5 years. There were fights, yes, but there was also healing. James taught me patience. He taught me what it meant to be safe, to be loved without condition. When he proposed on the beach where we had our first kiss, I said yes without hesitation. My mother cried at the wedding. She always said James reminded her of someone, but she could never quite place it. 8 months after our wedding, we decided it was time. We wanted a baby. That was when I had the idea to build a family tree. It was supposed to be a fun project, something our child could look at one day and know where they came from. My father had died when I was young, or so I was told. I knew very little about him. My mother always dodged questions about him, so I ordered a DNA test. When the results came, I was excited, curious. I opened the report, scrolling through my matches, smiling at some distant cousins and half-relatives, until I saw one name in bold, one name that changed my entire life. James Monroe, 49.9% shared DNA, half-sibling match. I dropped the phone. My chest caved in. I did not sleep that night. I sat in the corner of our bedroom, knees pulled to my chest, staring at James as he slept peacefully beside me. My stomach twisted in knots. I could not bear to touch him, could not bear to look at him. But worse than that, I still loved him. I loved him so deeply it made me sick. At 7 in the morning, I drove to my mother's house. No warning. No coffee. Just rage, confusion, and a printout of the DNA results in my shaking hand. She opened the door in her bathrobe, smiling like nothing was wrong in the world. I shoved the paper into her hands. "Explain this," I said. My voice did not sound like mine. It sounded foreign, hollow. Her face went pale. She did not speak. Not at first. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Then she whispered one word, "Harold." I had never heard that name before. My mother sat down slowly, as if her legs had given out. She looked older in that moment, like years of secrets had weighed her down into someone I did not recognize. She took a breath and began a story that burned through the last pieces of trust one had left. "Before your father, there was Harold," she said. "We were young. I was stupid. I never told him I was pregnant. I was afraid. So I ran. And I met the man you believed was your father. He raised you as his own. I never looked back." She said James was Harold's son from another relationship, that they must have listed his DNA in the system, and now everything had come to light. I did not know. She kept saying, I did not know you would ever meet him. But that was not enough. It would never be enough. Because her silence had stolen my life. Her choice to bury the truth had led me into a marriage with my own blood. I drove home in a fog. Memories flickered like broken glass in my mind. James and I in our wedding clothes, laughing. James kissing my forehead as I cried during a sad movie. James whispering promises into my ear. All of it felt like a lie. But here's the part one I'm ashamed to admit. I still wanted him. I still wanted the life we had built. And I knew I had to tell him the truth. I waited until the sun went down. James was in the kitchen, cooking my favorite meal, rosemary chicken with lemon butter sauce. The smell made my stomach churn. I watched him from the hallway like a ghost haunting her own life. His back was turned, and he was humming an old jazz tune. He looked like home. But I no longer knew where home was. I sat at the table and placed the printed DNA results between us. He looked down, confused. Then his eyes stopped on his name. On the percentage. I watched the blood drain from his face. What is this? He whispered. It is real, I said. My voice cracked. You are my half-brother. He blinked at me like he did not understand English. This is a mistake, he said, shaking his head. That is impossible. I told him everything. About the ancestry test. About my mother. About Harold. James stood up so fast the chair crashed backward. He pressed his palms against the wall and let out a sound I will never forget, part rage, part heartbreak. He punched the wall. Then again. His knuckles split open. I married my sister? He growled. I married my sister? I reached for him, but he backed away like my touch burned him. And maybe it did. We did not speak for days. We lived like strangers in the same house. I cried in the shower. He drank alone in the garage. And every time our eyes met, I saw love. And I saw shame. One night, he finally sat beside me. His voice was raw. I still love you, Joe. But what do we do with this? I had no answer. We moved out of state for a month. No family. No friends. Just us, hiding from the world while we tried to decide whether love could survive something so unthinkable. In the end, we made a choice. We said goodbye. Not because we stopped loving each other, but because we loved each other too much to live a lie. The truth had already broken us. Staying would have buried us. I left James on a Sunday morning. He kissed my hand and whispered, "You are my favorite chapter." I share this story not for sympathy, but for truth. Love can be beautiful. It can also be cruel. Sometimes the people who feel like your soulmate are not meant to stay forever. Please like this video if it moved you. Comment your thoughts. I want to hear every one of them. Share this story with someone who needs to know they are not alone. And subscribe to this channel for more stories of survival, truth, and healing. Thank you for listening.